Right, good morning everybody. Now, something I've not touched on, I've got probably 400 videos on YouTube easily now. If you're watching this one, I've got even more. Well, I've got even more, but in 400 videos, I've not touched on painting bare plaster. Why is that? Why is that? I'll be honest, we don't do, our sort of work, we don't do a lot of new build stuff. And coming up against new plaster is very few and far between, and that's probably more of a case why I've not actually touched on how you paint bare plaster. But today I've got a job. It's a private house where they've had some wall insulation done, which has got the polystyrene backing on plasterboard, and all the exterior walls across there all the way around have been overboarded, and then they've had just a bare plaster skim over the top. So that was done last week. It's nice and dry. They've had dehumidifiers in and dryers, and this is ready to go. So it's a simple one for learning how to paint bare plaster, and I'm just going to go through the process of what I do to get these walls up to a standard for a paint finish. And the paint finish that will be on here, which you've seen me painting walls plenty of times, the paint finish that is going on these walls is actually Farrow & Ball modern emulsion. We've got to bring this up from a bare plaster to a finish state, and I'm not going to show you all of that, but I will show you how I'm actually going to be painting this bare plaster. So let me just go and get my kit, and I'll come back and show you what I'm going to do to it. Right, all my stuff's in front of me now. I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do. Now, not everybody will do this, and I don't want people jumping on the bandwagon to say, oh, you're doing that wrong. I've got my pole with a sanding head on, and it is a well-worn piece of sandpaper. And what I do when we come across a room that's been bare plaster skimmed, or even when we do a bit of new build, I always, not to sand down the walls, because we don't want to sand down bare plaster. What I do with this, I just run it over the surface gently and lightly, just to knock any plaster splashes more than anything else. So literally that's all I'm doing, is I'm just going over it. Anywhere that I think is a build-up of plaster, like on these corner angles there, I'll just run it down gently, just to knock any loose off. As I say, I am not sanding these walls down at a bare plaster stage. You'll do that once you've got your wash coat on. So without further ado, I'm going to just go round, literally well worn. This is a 120 grade that's worn down. I'm just going to go round, mainly around the top of the skirting areas and in the angles where there could be a bit of build up of plaster. And once I've done that, I'm going to tell you what paint I'm using. Something else I just want to mention, once this is wash coated and it's dry, that's when you can go around and just sand it down. Now, I know there's a lot of you that seem to think that plaster is all bad, and they go with a wash coat, and then they go with a Merkur or an electric sander, and they sand the walls down to an inch of its life and go, oh, look how bad the walls are because I've sanded all this wash coat off. Now, that's fine. If you want to do that, brilliant, knock yourself out. But if you're going to town on plastered walls as bad as that, make sure you're charging for it. If you know you've got bare plaster walls, and that's how you work as a decorator, sanding walls down to an inch of its life once you put a wash coat on, to tell the customer that, oh, look how bad these walls are, charge accordingly. I'm going to say to you is you're going a bit over the top with it. Now, all you need to do is go over those walls, give them a light sand down. If there are any imperfections, give them a fill over. But if you are breaking through that wash coat and taking it back to bare plaster, you need to then spot prime those areas, because the whole idea of putting a wash coat on a surface is to actually give it a sound base for any paint that you're putting on over the top. And if you've gone with a wash coat and sanded a load of it off, don't just go on with your 2 top coats of finish and go, oh, it's all been wash coated, because those bare areas in effect are taking in that first coat of emulsion that you're putting on the surface. The areas that have actually got the wash coat on, it's in effect a second coat. And then when you go with your second top coat, that's the third coat. So just be mindful, if you are sanding down these surfaces to an inch of its life, in effect, if I do that because we're priced for it and it needs doing, I re-wash coat. I'll go back over all that lot again to give it a sound base to work over the top with the 2 top coats that we're finishing with. Or like in this case, this will be Farrow and Ball finish. So once it's wash coated, it has the wall and ceiling primer on, because the tone is the right tone as an undercoat wall sealing primer for the top coats that are going on. I don't want to be putting the top coats on over a white finish, and the colours that I'm going for are Elephant's Breath, and the undercoat colour for Elephant's Breath for the ceiling and wall primer is actually a mid-tones. So I'll get these all primed up with a white, but then once I've done all the preparing over the surface and anything that just needs spot priming in because it just needs a bit of a touch up, then it'll all have a coat of wall and ceiling primer in that mid-tones. But that's for another day. We're not talking about that. We're talking about priming walls and getting it right. So do all your filling after you've got your wash coat on, then sand accordingly. But I'm telling you, you don't need to be sanding the life out of it back to bare plaster. Or if you are doing, accidentally or purposely, please make sure you put another wash coat over the top, because the whole point of a wash coat is to give a sound, nice, clean, even surface for what you're going over the top. And another thing I want to mention, if these walls were going to be wallpapered, you do not need, and there's some people that don't know, you do not need to wash coat these walls prior to going over with wallpaper. What you would do is size these walls with either some thin down paste, because these are sound, these are a good wall, some thin down paste, mainly the paste that you actually use over the top, like for your papering, or you'll go with a beeline primer sealer, and you'll probably see that video, I've used it numerous times, but it's either thin down paste of the paste that you'll use for your wallpapering, i.e. your lining and your top finish, or you'll use that beeline primer sealer over these ready for you to actually do your wallpapering. Do not put emulsion or wash coat on if you know you are going to be putting on wallpaper, because all you'll do is you'll get the paste searching out that emulsion, softening it up, the emulsion comes away from the plaster, and that's where you'll do your wallpapering and go, I can feel it bubbling, it's coming away, and it's because there's emulsion on it that have softened up. I would say you get that a lot when you're following up after new build painters on new build construction sites where you probably want to be putting wallpaper on over the top. If that's the case, what I would say is if you've got a cheap emulsion on the surface, go over it with a coat of guards. That will bind it, and then you can start putting your wallpapers over the top. Right, 10-minute job. It's literally not making a meal of it. Now, what you can do, bare plaster. A lot of people will be using a cheap contract matte emulsion, and they'll be painting that onto the surface. And it's the reason you put on, I say a cheap contract matte, it's to do with letting the walls dry and breathe if there's any moisture still in there. But your bare plaster needs a coat on to even out that porosity. So the evening out of the porosity is to put a coat of paint onto it. But what you've got to do, and a lot of people make a mistake, they go straight on with a tin of contract matte emulsion or other paints that they probably shouldn't be using, and they'll go on neat. They won't be thinning it, they'll be just putting it straight on. And in effect, that sits straight onto that surface. The suction of the bare plaster, i.e. the porosity, sucks the moisture out of that paint, and then means all the pigments and the chalkiness of the paint is just sitting there. And that in, I'll say years to come, it's not even as long as that, is just sitting on that surface. And I always say it's the first coat of paint that does the damage. So what you've got to do with bare plaster is put a coat of paint on it that's thin enough to soak into the plaster, that then allows you to put your other coats of paint on over the top. And I always say it's better to put 2 or 3 coats on of a thinner paint than one thick coat of one paint. So what am I going to use? I've gone away from using stuff like cheap contract matte. If I get a problem with a painted surface, it's normally because I've gone over a cheap contract matte paint. And you'll say, what do you mean by that? An example, if you've got cheap contract matte paint on a surface that's a builder's done it or somebody that doesn't know what they're doing, and it's sitting on that surface, and then you go over with a better quality paint. And I'm going to give an example. I went over a cheap contract matte emulsion, which was an Eclipse, Macpherson's Eclipse. All the bare plaster, yeah, it was all wash coated, fine. But I came over it with using a Farrow ball emulsion, and no sooner had I gone over the surface with the Farrow ball emulsion, and other emulsions are out there, you could see little moon like bubbles coming on the surface. And the reason for that is because of using an Eclipse or a cheap contract matte emulsion, it softens back up. And I go on about false opacity paints. Now, false opacity paints, they might cover really well, but they're actually not doing anything to the surface. So what had happened is the better quality emulsion, or the paint that was going over the top of the Eclipse, i.e. the contract matte, was moist, it was wet, and it was reactivating that contract matte and softening it back up. Now then it's wanting somewhere to go to breathe, which is coming back out the surface, and that's why you get those little moons or air bubbles coming on the surface, because that moisture has reactivated that contract matte and it's trying to come back and breathe through that better quality emulsion that you're using, which may be a vinyl, i.e. a vinyl matte, it could be a soft sheen, it could be a vinyl silk, that's to the extreme, it could be a durable matte. And that is why you'll see little air bubbles trying to come out the surface and have problems with it. So what I use, and I've used it for a while now, I'll use a dedicated primer that is geared up for bare plaster. Now one of those is just, we'll go cheap as chips. This is from Screwfix. This is about £27 for a 10 litre tub, which is it is very much like a contract matte emulsion, but it is geared up for bare plaster. Now you can use this straight out of the tub, but I do find it a little bit thick. So I do still say, add some water to it. You could go 10%, add some water to it, thin it down and apply it as a thinner coat. Now, if you're not using this, another good one to use is Tickerilla's Optiva Primer. That is another paint that's very good as a bare plaster primer. Optiva Primer from Tickerilla, I'd still say thin it down. You'll get 9 litres in a tub, top it up to a 10 litre tub. Now, if this is for brush and roller application, which you can, these sorts of paints, 10%. If you are using a contract matte, you could probably go 10 to 15%, a little bit more, 25%. Always read the back of the tin because it will give you a guide for thinning for bare plaster surfaces. Now, if I was spraying this, different kettle of fish. Because I'm going to be brushing this, I'm actually putting the paint onto the surface and forcing it in to that plaster. Now, if you were spraying it, the spray sprays onto the surface and sits on the surface. What you've got to do, you thin it down a bit more. You could be thinning these paints 30%, 40%, even 50% to get a wash coat just to get onto that bare plaster. Each paint might be slightly different, and feel it, dilute to taste, as I always say. So what you do is actually thin it down when you're spraying a little bit more than what you would do if you were brushing and rolling it, because that is going to be spraying onto the surface and not mechanically, i.e. using a brush or a roller to push it in. So you need that spray to be thin enough that the spray paint goes onto it and soaks in. And that's what you've got to do. Now, I've already got some of this tipped out. I've already got it thinned because I have this made up ready. I've got right on the top, thinned, ready to use. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you, because I have skills with a brush. I've not got a big area, so I'm going to just brush this today because I don't want to get a roller out and clean it. I'm going to brush it, and I'm going to do what TikTokers do. I'm going to touch the wall, and then the next time you see me, that wall will be done. I'm not going to show you how to paint because you know what I'm going to do. I'm literally going to be brushing from the top, working it down and going around. Now I've put it into an empty old isomat tub. There's a couple of inches at the bottom. There's about that much paint and I'm working out a tub. These are very nice tubs to work out of with just a little bit of paint. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to lay my brush up like that and I'm going to touch the wall like that. And next time you see it, it'll all be painted. So let's do it. So I've done it. It's taken me about 15, 20 minutes, if that. Now you're going to say, why didn't you roll it, why didn't you spray it? I've brushed it, I've allowed for that in the price, so don't get on to me for that. I can handle a 4-inch brush. Yeah, as I've said before, I can handle 4 inches, no problem. So that's been wash coated now. It's been brushed because it'll penetrate into the surface, and it's the difference between Pacific and mechanical adhesion, you know. Sometimes stuff sitting on the surface, yeah, we've gone over that. So all I've got to do now is, I've actually got my dust extraction on, I've got the max vac blowing now and sucking any bits in the air. That's keeping my air clean. I'm going to bring a heater in now, dry these walls off. With it being a thin down version of the wall primer, that's probably going to be, say, a couple of hours. It'll be nicely dry. All I'll then be doing is just giving it a light nib down. I can see where there's little imperfections that just want a little bit of fine surface filler, and clearly across the top of the skirting, I've gone onto the skirting board. Slightly, and I will be priming the skirting board up, and then it'll be a fine bead of cork just around the tops, because there's not a lot of filling up on the top edge of the skirting. So that's what the process is. Any questions, just ask, and it's simple. It's probably long overdue, this video, but all we're needing to do is get a thin down wash coat of the dedicated bare plaster primer on, and that is now the base for me to do filling, sanding, filling, and then either a spot prime with the brush if there's any areas that I've sanded through. But because I am using the wall primer from Farrow & Ball, there probably won't be any spot priming to do, because I'll actually use the wall sealing primer as the next primer coat prior to the 2 top coats of elephant's breath. It is elephant's breath that's going on. It's not mouse breath. It's not bad breath. It's elephant's breath. So primer, undercoat and 2 top coats. That's how it's working out. Watch the videos at the end. There's a lot of information that might help you on your decorating projects.